Australia is wasting $1.3 billion a year on prescription drugs. Once a leader in making life-saving drugs affordable, Australia has been leapfrogged by other countries negotiating far lower prices on generic drugs. Stephen Duckett, Health Program Director of the Grattan Institute, says the saving potential is huge, yet Australia is missing out.
Well, it hasn't always been the way. 10 years ago, the Productivity Commission did a study which showed that we're amongst the cheapest in the world, and that was the case 5 years ago as well. But what's happened in the last 5 years is we've lost our advantage. We've lost the plot, really. And there are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, the whole process is wrong. The process of setting our prices has embedded politics, has embedded lobby groups, and we haven't been allowed to take advantage of new policy developments overseas in reducing prices. So when we set the prices, we've got the lobby groups involved. When we set the prices, the minister is the person who actually makes a decision about whether something should go on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. So I think we've got to, one of the things we need to do is address that whole process mess. There are two sorts of drugs, patent drugs and off-patent or generics. And with patented drugs, it means that only one manufacturer is allowed to manufacture the drug anywhere in the world. And that's because when a drug's invented, there's huge costs in research, in trialling the drug in patients and bringing it to market. And so the manufacturer or the people who invented the drug are given a license that they will be the only people who are allowed to manufacture the drug for a defined period. It's 20 years at the moment. After that period, anybody can manufacture it, and it's then called a generic. One of the most commonly used drugs in Australia is a drug called Atorvastatin that Pfizer markets under the name of Lipitor, and that's off patent now. So I think there are 13 manufacturers who produce that drug for the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. In Australia, the government has said that the price they'll pay the manufacturer is just over $50 for a pack of 30. In New Zealand, on the other hand, the price is $5.80 for a pack of 90. But what's interesting is we also compared the prices that a couple of Australian states pay for drugs in public hospitals. And what we found is that their prices are very, very similar to the New Zealand prices, so that the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme is the odd person out. Other countries, New Zealand and the states, are actually getting much better prices than we are in the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme.
So what are the solutions to bring us back on track?
Well, we've said there's a 3-point plan. Get the processes right, have an independent body negotiating, make sure the negotiations are tough, give this independent body a budget and so that forces them to be tough. And we've got independent bodies like that, the Reserve Bank being a good example, and New Zealand has an independent body called Pharmac which does that. The second thing we need to do is to slash the prices of off-patent or generic drugs. Australia has a policy at the moment that if a drug comes off patent, there's an automatic 16% cut in the price we pay. In other countries, in Canada for example, there's an 82% cut in the price we pay. So there's a huge difference. So we think there should be at least a 50% cut, and then we should do more benchmarking. The third thing we've suggested is that we should be looking at substitutes. We shouldn't always be saying every drug needs to go on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. We should be saying that if you're going to put on a drug on the scheme, make sure it's a sensible one, and also make sure that if it's only marginally different from another drug, people could still use it, but we could also save some money by not paying as much for that. And there are huge benefits in this. I mean, we estimate that on generics alone, there's $1.3 billion worth of savings to be made every year. But there are not only savings to government, there are also savings to individual patients. If I use the Atorvastatin example, for example, I think that if we paid the same as New Zealand does, people who aren't pensioners and not on a safety net would save $20 every time they bought a box of those tablets. So savings to both consumers and to government.